Welcome to the internet, my friend. How can I help you?
We're online.
All systems go!
And in your face.
Yeah, we are. One
You
more
are
time.
listening to the golden microphones of the IMC Radio. News, opinions, and your calls.
We haven't got calls in a long time.
You gotta see that big picture.
Sometimes if you stop the machine, then you realize, whoa.
You know, you have to have some foresight and think about what kind of an effect is that going to have on air travel.
How important is aviation?
How important is aviation to you? Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's Howie, your host for IMC Club Radio, and I'm reporting to you from a very sad, very sullen, depressed seat here in the hangar today. And I'm sitting here staring at a very sad scene, and that sad scene is my airplane up on jacks getting its annual. Nothing really sad about that now, is there? What is sad is the fact that during the inspection of the oil, we found metal filings, got called over, and my satanic mechanic, Dan here on Martha's Vineyard, was not so pleased to say, we got some big chunks here. So, looking at the oil filter, there's no two ways about it. Something's going on. He took a can off, and sure enough, there's camshaft failure. So, on my lovely little Cherokee, we're now shopping for an engine. Yeah. 1,300 hours. 1,300 hours. And, of course, one of the first people I shared this with, he said, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I got 2,400 hours on mine, singing like a lark. It's like, great. Well, anyway, yeah, we all know it can happen. 300 hours, 2,000. It's just when your time's up, your time's up. So there you go. It just happened for me. The timing was kind of awkward, awkwardly to the kind of plus side, because I was about to close on a hangar today. Yep, I was ready to hand over a check for the hangar that I've been in, and I went to the hangar owner, and after just double-checking with my insurance company, there was nothing we could do about it. Of course, I knew that. So I worked out a deal with the hangar owner to let me purchase the hangar a little later. And meanwhile, I'll just pay my rent, keep the airplane there. It's like, yeah, okay. Then I called my banker and explained what was going on to him. And he said, well, how much you thinking it's going to be? And it's like, oh, geez, I don't know. I'm looking at 18 to 20 plus getting carburetor rebuilt and the mags rebuilt, but everything else is pretty good. And I don't know, a few ancillaries, I don't know, something like that up there. And he said, yeah, well, when you find out what you need, let me know. And we're good. It's like, really? Okay, so, all right. I put off purchasing the hangar that I'm in, and I'm able to get the engine replaced. Oh, right. So, hey, listen, in a scale of, oh, my God, to what the hell, it's like, okay. You know what I mean? So here I am looking at this machine with Dan, and we're looking at the fact that when I bought it, it came with a constant speed prop. Now, boys and girls, if you're not really going anywhere, what's with that? For the bit of savings, and at altitude and cruise, I get it. I know if you're going places, but I don't. My missions are short. My missions are an hour. Hell, my son lives up in New Hampshire. I'm down here in southern Massachusetts. It's an hour, and he just moved up to Manchester. So it's like, all right, right? So what do I need? I mean, people, we all got, so many of us got regular pitch, so I'm going to cash them in. They're not that old, 100 hours less, and they're in great shape, fly now mostly on asphalt, very little off field, dirt and whatever. And so prop's in great shape, hub's in great shape. So I'll make a deal, see if I can't work that out. And in addition to that, going to see if I can upgrade a little, get a little radio stuff done. Hey, listen, I'm not an Avidine guy. I can't afford all that, extra special whiz bang. So I'll figure something out. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a 430 with WAS, get it in there while we're messing around. We'll see what happens. So that's the big news there, ladies and germs. It's like, I'd like to know how many of you have lost an engine. Just the understanding of losing it in flight is, my hat's off to anybody who's had to declare an emergency. And there was only one time when I did something where I took off, and immediately as soon as I took off, I realized, I forgot to do something I really have to take care of, and I set it back down. They asked if I wanted to declare an emergency. I just basically laughed and said, no, I'll be turning around and taking off again. But for those of you that have done anything seriously, man, would I like to hear it. And, you might want to get on the website, on the forum, and chime in there. But to have the engine fail during an annual is the place you want it. I mean, everybody talks about that. Everyone that I've shared this information with has gotten back to me, and it's sad. There's no two ways about it. But finding it during the annual, that's what the annuals are for. A couple of folks have said different things to me. There's, what's that? I forget what the acronym is. Fix and replace as needed, is an option, and whether you want to get it rebuilt, remanufactured, or new. I'm definitely not getting this particular engine rebuilt because it's too old. It's far too old. I'll swap it in for a remanufactured. I don't know if I'm getting the phraseology right, but I'm sure you know what I mean. And new's out of the question. That is, unless I've got a real whiz-bang engine manufacturer listening to the podcast that wants to help a guy out. I mean, after all, I am in human services. And, yeah, I know. I do God's work. I get that. But, for those of you that don't know, I'm a clinical therapist. I run a drug program. I work at our local hospital doing emergency services a couple of days a week. It's mostly at the hospital. I also do the jail and some outreaches to schools. But it's seeing people when they're in dire need. And it's interesting work. It's definitely fulfilling work. I also have a private practice here in the Vineyard where I see folks mostly for substance and family issues. But that's what I do for a living. And, it's not big money. For anybody that's worked in human services, you know that. And one of the reasons why I'm able to do what I do is that I jokingly say my Cherokee is my therapy, and I'm sure every single person here listening is very clear aware. When you go through that gate, what do you think of? Aviation. Nothing but. And it really is a blessing. When I go through the gate, I don't answer my calls. I'll return text, you know what I mean, on the side, but I'm basically in the hangar, and I'm just all about keeping proficient, studying, polishing, fixing, and staying in the game. And no two ways about it. Every moment in the air is omni-focused about all things aviation. And it's a spiritual thing. I want to take a moment to talk about this. Getting in the air and what it does for you spiritually. The freedom, the excitement, the constant challenge. These are virtuous things, and it's so healthy to have this kind of enterprise. So I just want to remind folks that this is, I deal with so much crap and people who are just going through shit, and it's horrible. And then I get on the other side of the fence, and I hear people talk about the avionics and the different performance categories, criteria, and their experiences, and it's wonderful. And I'm really thrilled to hear them do that. The two things that I am concerned about is obviously because I run a couple of drug programs, alcohol and substances. Now, we've seen in the movies every now and then you get some dude behind the stick who comes down out of the plane and he opens the door and all this pot smoke comes wafting out of the door and no. 99% of us are straight arrow, and we understand the reasons for it. I'm talking about alcohol over here, and we'll talk about other stuff in a second. The bottle to throttle rule, right? I don't know. I really can't imagine if you tie one on and you've got a dozen hours between the last sip and getting in the cockpit that you're all there. You know what I mean? I can't imagine you're all there. I can quite imagine that you're not all there, and that there's really a lot that you're leaving on the table as far as being sharp, as far as being capable. And the bottom line is simply this. I just want to take a moment to remind people that when you're overdoing it, your body's going to pay a toll. Keep in mind that being responsible and taking care of business is the primary reason for you wanting to stay healthy. I mean, go enjoy yourself if that's what you want to do, but the idea of being responsible, you want to take it a step further and understand the price that your body's going to pay. So it can get out of hand, and there's plenty of people that still get in the left seat even though that they struggle with things like this. And I also want to offer to anybody who knows somebody that's having issues to reach me, and I'd be happy to discuss it with you. My personal email, hm4499@gmail.com. That's my initials, Howie Marlin. hm4499@gmail.com. Drop me a line. I may be able to help. Been doing it for a long time, and my attitude about it is with love and good humor and embracing the future. I tell people yesterday happened, can't change it, move on. Tomorrow, who the hell knows what's going to happen? North Korea will rule the world. We have no idea. Right now, today, in the moment, that's where we're at, and that's the place to be. And you know damn well, when we're in the left seat, we are in that moment, and we all do understand what that's about. So anyway, there you go. If you know somebody that needs a hand, definitely put them in touch with me. Also, I just want to point out with the opiate issue, and it's when you look into a big crowd of people, there's going to be a percentage of folks that are wrestling with issues or have family members that do. So here again, I want you to reach out to me. I may be able to help in certain ways. I'm involved in the recovery process and, of course, with facilities. So anyway, enough of Debbie Downer here. Moving on. I built a Stratix. I'm sure you've heard about them. Not the Stratus that you get for $900, which is a fine product, and I've seen it in use, and really, it's fine. What I did is I went on and bought the components to build. Yeah, it's the open source version where you buy the components and put them together. And I gotta tell you, I was remarkably surprised at how well it works. It is kind of cute that it's all bundled together with rubber bands. It is. I got the Raspberry Pi, which houses the computer itself, and the plugins for the 1080, the two frequencies, the plug-in, the radios, and then you got it's built-in Wi-Fi, which is awesome, and then a plug-in GPS. Seriously, a little card, just plug it in, and it's awesome. With I got a nice little long life battery, and had a case printed out for me, which I'm going to get this weekend. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of tweaking to get it all together, but so I got a plastic case which I'll be able to take the components and get them in together. But folks, it's like $120 $20 for everything, and works with my iPad just wicked awesome. It's great. I mean, I use FlyQ and WingX because I like both those guys, and it depends on my day and how I feel, and I'm trying to figure out which one's going to work for me. Here again, I'm not a go there guy. I'm not going far. I'm not going at altitude or stuff like that. I mean, seriously, I've made friends with the guys up in at Cranland, which is up by Plymouth, Mass, and I've gone up there, and I go to visit my like I said, I got family in New Hampshire, and I want to go down to Jersey, but I'm not going to Ohio or stuff like that. And for me, it's perfect. So that's awesome. I thought you'd really get a kick out of that. So just check it out. Go on YouTube and look at the Stratux, STRATUX, and there's YouTube videos on how to snap it together. And really, I'm not, I kind of know how to get in and around a computer, but you don't have to be too savvy. The big joke is when I first put it together and the GPS wasn't working, I text my son who's really in it. He works for BAE Systems, right? The bigwig computers. So what do you do? He said, Dad, just turn it on and put it in the sun and let it sync up with the satellites for a couple of hours, and once it finds them, it'll log on more easily. And sure enough, I came back, everything worked. I got into the air, and I'm telling you, I'm at 3,000-4,000 feet. I got traffic, and I got weather. I'm like, ahars, wow, awesome. And really couldn't be happier. It's kind of kludgy, like I said, with the Band-Aids and the two different antenna and the cables, which is it's all hokey, but I'm getting, nice, the appropriate antenna. I'm going to make it look trick. So that's very cool. What else did I want to talk about? But that was good enough for now. Getting that together, and I just want to remind people, like I said, I don't go far. So ForeFlight isn't for me, and I don't have anything really sweet in the panel. Actually, I have all steam gauges in the panel. So for me, it's not that. Those things aren't that important. Although I am looking, like I said, at whether I do or don't want to get a Garmin 430 in the panel when I get everything redone. But I'm sorry, I just got distracted. So that's pretty darn cool. Let's do this. I'm just going to take a break. I'll be back in just a minute.
Welcome to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio. The views and opinions expressed on Plane Talk are of the host, its guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views of the IMC Club or IMC Club International.
Well, he's back. Well, okay. Well, thank you very much for being patient while I answer that phone, which is really, it's very funny being down here by myself. Hey, have you heard that we're getting the opportunity to get a $500 rebate on ADSB equipment? Yeah, so the story is pretty interesting. We have the opportunity. The FAA has been really very up on getting everybody to transition over to ADSB, and so what happens is the FAA announced today that they have a rebate program. So the first 20,000 people who sign up starting September, who purchase and install the product, will get a $500 check. So thank you, FAA, which isn't something that you hear people say very, very often. It's an incentive program that starts in September. And they say the first 20,000 to do a DSB out, get the 500. Now, it's has to be new. It can't be updates or updates for stuff like that. And they'll do it for a year. So that's awesome. I will say that it's been really interesting in discussions, and at Sun and Fun, you guys heard from an earlier program that NavWorks, for example, is offering a product for $19.99, which any A&P can install for ADSB out, which I'm getting during all the work that's being done on my plane. So it's like, okay. People have been waiting for the price to come down. We know it will, or we expect it to. And I was telling people that, when I see it at 15 or something like that, okay, I'll go for it. And sure enough, the FAA just made that happen. So that's really cool. The mandate is that by midnight, December 31st in 2019, you have to have it in, or else no bueno. And, with 150 plus thousand registered aircraft, only a tiny fraction of us have gotten ADSB installed. And it is funny because, like I just told you about getting that Stratix run with my iPad, getting up there and seeing traffic, it was just an indication of how virtuous, how valuable this is, and that the sooner we all adopt it, the better and safer. And for those of you that fly in any of these really congested corridors, you know what I mean. Here in Cape Cod in the summer, really, I'll tell you, man, I ask Cape Approach to follow me when I'm just going to Falmouth. It's a 20-minute hike, but I want eyes on me because I got Cape Air, all sorts of transients, and a lot of NODARs. And the weird thing is, their radar will pick that up, and that's interesting. Don't know what to do about that, because if we're all going to go satellite, and you can't find a NODAR on the ADSB, so interesting. But what I mean is there's so much traffic on the Cape going up and down, or off Cape and to the islands, and the corridors to and from the major airports are pretty. It gets crazy. It's already crazy. I was up doing pattern work with a newbie the other day, and we had what did we had? We had Pilatuses screaming on top of. Oh dear, now I can't remember the Canard-based twin turbine pushers, and I'm sure people are screaming at their computers right now. Those guys come screaming in. So, lots of can you do short approach really and go long, and all sorts of things to work other people in the pattern. So just being seen, to appreciate that technology. So I'm up on that. We're going to go ahead and get that taken care of. So I figure while I'm doing that, I'm going to go get the NavWorks installed, make the application, get my $500 back, and that'll be awesome. And I'm really excited about that. So this should have gotten your attention because we've all been waiting for quite a while, and I think that will make a big change there. So, on a completely different subject, a big shout out to Radek Vizikoski, who is trekking the world, trekking the United States, opening new IMC clubs all over the country. And it's amazing how many more clubs are signing up and how quickly. Of course, being purchased by the EAA is making it quite, just a lot more beef, a lot more assets to offer. And it's interesting because there's also, you probably have heard us talk about the fact that they're also going to provide VMC club material. So for those of you that aren't aware, the IMC program is proficiency for those that fly in the clouds, what we're going to do with VMC, for the obvious reason, is for those that fly on nice days. And it'll again be scenario-based with highly produced video. And that kind of structure seems to work really well. So I can't wait to see more for that. You going to Oshkosh, guys? Where are you staying? Are you camping out at Camp Bacon? Where all the podcasters go, which is such a riot. Big shout out to Stephen Force, who's putting on another Not an Air show, again up in Michigan this year. Steve and I have been talking that I've got big plans here for next year here on Martha's Vineyard for me to do Not an Air show. And so I'm following his lead. Thank you again, Steve, for all the information that you're sharing and your excitement about being able to do that. You know, it's really interesting here where I am. We get a lot of interesting aircraft to begin with, but I've grown to be fairly good friends with Steve Buss from Commander Air Force. Hey, Steve, and it's we'll see what we can do getting different aircraft out here. So that'll be a lot of fun. So look forward to that, guys. Not this summer, but next. And the reason why we're not looking at doing anything this summer is because the POTUS will be back one more time. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States camping out in my backyard again this summer. This time for 3 weeks in August. Yeah. 3 weeks. 3 weeks of a TFR. 3 weeks of no sun in the fun. Here, fun in the sun here. You can log a flight. Schedule a flight, file a flight in advance, go point to point. You cannot veer off course even a little, or you're going to get an F-16 escort. So for 99% of the time with VFR missions, certainly for me, no. Add to the fact, as you all know, Zerna Whiskey is going to be tied up, so it doesn't look like I'm going to be using my plane again until September. But that's what's going on here. Add to the fact, guys, it doesn't look like I'm going to make Oshkosh this year. I am sure that the moment I said, yeah, I need a new engine, most of you had a visceral reaction. And any of you that went through it before absolutely have. And it's one of those things, it's like, you say, what? Nah. Yep. So, with that being said, on top of the fact that I had been putting money away to get my IFR, guys, you should remember, I took my written, it was this a couple of years ago already, and I had lost the use of the airplane that I was using, so I couldn't go ahead and finish. Like, really? Yeah. It was ugly. So I got back at those bastards. I bought the damn plane. Seriously. I did. I said, screw you. I'm buying the plane. I bought the plane. Well, they got back at me because little did I know that nobody would know that the engine would go. But anyway, my point is I won't be able to finish my IFR this year. But I'm going to continue with my studies. I certainly do check rides with people, and I'm still in it, and I'll get it. I don't quit. I never quit. I've never quit anything. Takes a while sometimes, but yeah. It's like my mom says. She goes, "Son, you may not be the brightest bulb on the tree, but you are the longest burning." Did you get it? Yeah, well, so much for that. So Oshkosh will be a lot of fun for Radek. He's going to be doing the Proficiency Center again. There's going to be the Potapalooza. I'm not sure who's going to host it. There's talk of a couple of different organizations hosting Potapalooza. I'll be sure to share that information with you. And Dave Pasco, a shout out to Dave. I can imagine you're probably going to hear this and go, oh, okay, so how he's not going. Yeah, Dave, it doesn't look like I'm going to need a room at the house this year, and I'll take care of that. So I know none else of you care, but if things change, and I'll certainly let folks know. It is going to mean that I won't be able to do field interviews traditionally, like I did at Sun and Fun, but I may have an ulterior way of doing it through Skype with some of the movers and shakers. So we'll stay tuned for that. But that's I think that'll do it for now, folks. I think that's the big thing. Like I said, big shout out to Dave Pasco and to Radek Vizikowski, John Roberts, and also I just want to say to Ken Dustin, Ken baby, who I had lunch with today, one of the originators of the IMC Club. Ken and I are going to be playing Muzak together. Yeah, he's a musician, and it got a little musical thing going, and I've got my travel drums, which are the electronic drum kit, which I had intended to throw in the Cherokee this summer, but doesn't look like that's going to happen, but we're going to do stuff. Ken will be on the show soon, and that'll be a lot of fun. Also, folks, I want you to keep your ears peeled for, and I will let you know, for you young ladies out there and people who love them, the Institute for Women of Aviation Worldwide, of which I'm on the board, is much like in the efforts of women in aviation, the same idea is to develop interest, guidance, mentoring, supervision, and to get young ladies to look to aerospace as a vocation and avocation. So my work with IWOW, Institute for Women of Aviation Worldwide, it is literally a worldwide effort, and as you probably heard in an earlier podcast with Mariah Goyer, the president of IWOW, we're not that big shakes in the U.S., but holy mother, we're rather substantial worldwide, with thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of members. We had over 92,000 participants in 30-some-odd countries this year for Women of Aviation Week. And the Pink Paper Airplane Challenge broke a Guinness Book World Record for number of airplanes, paper airplanes flown same time. May sound ridiculously silly, guys, but when it comes to kids, there is a door, and you open that door by getting them interested. You gets the conversation going. And that's what I want to leave you on, getting the conversation going. Things are changing for the better, thank God. The economy is holding its own. We're going to be, it seems like, as long as we keep our nose to the grindstone, we're going to be doing okay. And I want you to take a newbie up. Take a newbie flying. And much like the Young Eagles, which is wonderful, but I want you to take it 2 or 3 steps further. Be their mentor. Be their guide. Don't just stop after the free ride. Also, there's nothing wrong with asking them to split fuel. Yeah, I mean, really? It shouldn't come all out of your pocket. When there's skin in the game, by the way, when they have to pay a little bit of a price, it actually has more of a meaning. And take it from me, I know this to be very true. So that may be something that those of you may want to think about who do Young Eagles or Old Eagles or whatever the Eagles that you fly. So I will keep you posted for what will be a new podcast series, IWOW Radio, Institute for Women of Aviation Worldwide. And here we'll be talking about issues germane to, yes, the issues, the challenges of getting young ladies involved in aerospace, in engineering, in aviation, not just in the left seat, but behind the scenes as well. So we'll keep you posted for that. So I don't mind saying that it's been fun doing this a little bit on my own, a little bit of a challenge, but I really enjoy doing this, and I hope you do too. So on behalf of Radek Vizikowski, John Roberts, Ken Dunst, and the rest of the IMC Radio gang, this has been Plain Talk. Howie, I want you to keep the sun in your face and the wind on your ass. Howie out.